Welcome to Allies or Enemies. I'm Jess.
And I am Sean, and today we are continuing to count down our top 100 favorite board games of all time.
And today we are counting down the 40s, going from 50 all the way to 41.
And of course, if you double the 40s, you get the 80s, and that is if my math is correct. If my math is wrong, it's because I am still dizzy because we went to a theme park yesterday. But if you want to relive your childhood in the safety of your own home, a great way to do that is with our game Last Week of Summer, and that is live right now on Kickstarter. So go and check that out. But for now, let's check out our number 50. My number 50 is Endeavor Deep Sea, and this is one of the newer games on this list, and this is a game that just charmed me mostly because of its theme, because it does so much with that theme. You start out with just a little bit of ocean that you're checking out, and then you're going to go deeper and deeper or off to the side, and all those chunks of ocean do like something a little bit different. All the actions in this are super simple, but how they all tie together, the different missions that you have, so that you got to focus on, this time I'm researching fish, this time I'm just trying to see as much ocean as I can, this time I'm doing this other thing. I really like that. I also really like that this is a game that is equally good, competitive and cooperative, because there's a lot of games that offer both, but usually they're more one than the other. This almost perfectly equal both things, and I really like that too, and it looks terrific. So highly recommend this game, and it is my number 50.
My number 50 is Star Wars, the deck building game. And we first played this at a convention a few years back and thought it was fine, but didn't pick it up. But then we saw it secondhand for a decent price and decided to give it another try. And I'm really glad we did. We play this a ton. It reminds me of Star Realms. It is a deck building game and you're trying to destroy each other's bases. But this is Star Wars themed. And one thing that's really good about that is Sean will always buy the character he's most interested in, not necessarily the one that's most helpful. But it is a really interesting two-player specific game where you are able to purchase cards from the market, but you're also able to destroy cards in the market because the cards will be either Empire or Rebellion or neutral. And I'm often the Empire because Sean prefers being the Rebels, but that means I can destroy any Rebel cards. So it's an interesting decision of when to attack your opponent's ships or bases and when to destroy things in the card row. And it is my number 50.
My number 49 is Imperial Settlers Empires of the North. And I love asymmetric games. I love when a game gives me a way to each time switch up some like main part of it and have it feel way different. And this does that so well. There are a whole bunch of factions. Even in the core box, you get a bunch of factions. We picked up all the other ones that they've put out as well. And all of them play so differently, but not in a way where you have to learn all these other rules. And so really this is a tableau building game. So you've got a specific deck for that specific faction. You're putting out cards, you're turning those cards to do different things, you're making resources, you're using that stuff to get points in different ways. But each one of these plays so different. So some of these are a lot more resources. Some of these are super mean and you're stealing stuff from other players. Some of these are focused more on the voyages that you can do at the end of each round and gathering stuff from like other places. Some of them have like banks that you're investing in. It's all these different things, but they're all like small changes that make a big difference. I really like that. And it's just so adorable. And this is my 49.
My number 49 is Bus and Stop, and we really like small box card games and are always on the lookout for great ones. And this is one that Sean found in Essen last year and came back so excited about it. And it's a Saatchi and Saatchi game, which has really got them on our radar, and we want to pick up more of their games now. And Bus and Stop is a quick, clever card game. You've got a bus and you can fit up to 10 passengers. And on your turn, you have to take all of one color of passengers. but you're trying to get sets of passengers, and it's the type of passengers. And you're trying to get as many as you can because larger sets pay off more, but your bus is only so big. But one of the things I really like about it is when somebody drops off passengers, you can drop one off, but you have to say skedaddle. And I just love when there is like a specific word for a game that gets incorporated. And we've introduced this to so many people, and it's my number 49.
My number 48 is Bus and Stop. So close to a crossover again. And yeah, everything you said, Bus and Stop is just, I was so enamored with this. I picked this up totally on a whim. I hadn't really played a Sashi and Sashi game before, and now I'm just hunting them down every time we go to a convention. And it looks super cute, and it plays so like fun and fast. It's so easy to explain, and there's no other game that I've introduced to more people that they have ordered at the table than this. There's so many times I've been playing with someone and they're on their phone, and I'm like, get off your phone, and they're like, I'm just buying the game right now. Because there's just something about it. It's so simple. You just pick up the people, you put them in your bus. You can only fit 10 in your bus. And that is a huge thing, is because you're going to pick up those people and put them in that bus, but you can't quite fit the people that you want. So now you've got to drop them off, but you got to time those drop-offs and pickups. You're picking up these old people that just jump off after one stop. It's just these fun little quirks, the skedaddle thing as well. Such a great game, and it is my 48.
My 48 is Clank Legacy Acquisitions Incorporated. And I love all the Clanks. It's a super fun deck builder where you're trying to go down into a dungeon and get as many things as you can whilst trying to not die. And so you are very much pushing your luck, because the longer you're in the dungeon, just the more opportunity you'll have to get stuff. But if you die while you're still in the dungeon, you get 0 points. And I'm more risk averse than Sean. And so I think I tend to lose this a little bit more, but you have definitely gotten 0 points more than I have. And the legacy version is really interesting because it's still a competitive game, but it's almost semi-cooperative because you want to try and complete the various missions. And I really like the first one, and I'm intrigued to try the second one, and it's my number 48.
My number 47 is Tricarion, and this would probably be higher on my list if Jess liked it, but I love it. And Tricarion has this terrific theme where you're a magician in like the 1920s or something, and you've got these apprentices, you're sending them out to do stuff. It's got this really, really tight thing, which is why I think you don't love it, where you really have to order the things that you're going to do. So you have to get materials, you have to learn tricks, you have to load up those tricks, and then you have to perform those tricks. But other people can really get in your way and take the better things at wherever that is. So if they show up to get those materials first, they get the first choice of materials, then you can't get the stuff that you wanted to make, then that spell doesn't work, then that trick doesn't work. But there are clever ways to get around that. There are little things in the game like this dark alley that you can play with that helps you kind of find back routes to some of the different things that you need. There are also a ton of different tricks in this really fun book filled with magic tricks. There's all these slightly asymmetrical different magicians you can be. And it's just a really pretty game from a publisher that I generally like their games. And this is my 47.
My number 47 is viticulture, and I love it when a theme is integral to the game, and that is very much the case here. Because in viticulture, you own a vineyard and you're making wine, and so everything you do is tied to that. You've got to plant grapes, you have to collect the grapes, you have to put them into bottles, you have to age those bottles, and you have to sell it. And so I just really like that everything is intuitive in terms of what you're trying to do. And I really like it with the Tuscany expansion, which I think if you have viticulture and you don't have Tuscany, definitely pick that up, because it just adds another layer where you still have to do all of those other things, but there are a few other routes that you can do and ways that doing that makes it a little bit more possible, because it is tricky that everyone's following the same cycle. But it's a really lovely game. I love the glass beads that you use to indicate the value of the grapes and the value of the wine. And this is my number 47.
My number 46 is Caverna, and Caverna really is Agricola 2.0, and Agricola is one of the first heavy-ish board games that I got into. It's a pretty heavy game, especially for its time, but Caverna is like Agricola but fun. And I do like Agricola, so don't yell at me, but Caverna it's got a more fun theme. It's a little bit more, a lot more gentle with how you're feeding, and it's got a lot of fun options where you're building your farm both inside and outside. And the stuff that you're adding inside, some of it's super silly, like the cuddle room, which is your favorite thing. And when you add the expansion as well that has all of the different asymmetric, I love asymmetry. I know I keep talking about it, but it's got these different asymmetric factions that are all these fantasy races, and they all work a little bit different, and I really like that, where if you're like the vampires, you want to stay inside. You're some of them that want to eat the rocks. You're all of these different ones, and just the little weird things in here too, like the dwarves don't have kids, they wish for children. How family friendly is that too? It's such an adorable take on what was already a really strong game, and it is my number 46.
My number 46 is Western Legends, and you mentioned for Tricarian it might be higher if I liked it more. And for Western Legends, I think this is as high as it is because you like it so much. But it is an interesting idea because it's very much a sandbox game, which is something that we've been seeking out for a while, and we couldn't quite find it. And I think this does a sandbox game really well. And it is Western theme. And you can be a good guy, you can be a bad guy, you can even switch throughout the game because you're doing all kinds of Western things. You are digging for gold, you're taking cattle and either selling it to the other ranch or dropping it off at the train station. You're playing poker, you're visiting saloons, you're trying to arrest the bad guys in town. And it's not the best at 2, it's much better at 3 or 4 players. At 2, you do have to use the Man in Black cards, but we still play it all the time at 2. And Western Legends is my number 46, and we'll be on to our 45s right after this important message.
My number 45 is Stardew Valley, and this one kind of came out of nowhere for us. And so we had a gift certificate and we wanted to buy a different game. It wasn't available, and we were it was burning a hole in our pocket, so we had to get something. So we picked up Stardew Valley on a bit of a whim because it's a co-op game. And it's a really cool co-op game. Also, we didn't know anything about Stardew Valley when we bought this, and we still really liked it. Now, I'm kind of sad to say that I know about 100 hours more about Stardew Valley because I've fallen in love with it. But a big part of that is how much I enjoy this game. And it's a little bit of a puzzle where you got to do a bunch of different things because you got to fill all these different goals. And these goals are stuff like get to the bottom of the mine, get this much of this kind of crop, do all these different things in town. And so you both really have to work together because time is absolutely not on your side. It is really important that you make the most out of every single action that you do and that you really work together to get everything done. And I like that. I like how tight this is. I like how it is famously difficult to win this game and how good it feels when you do win this game. And it is my 45.
My number 45 is Pandemic Legacy Season 1. And this is kind of the representative of all of the Pandemic series. I really like Pandemic. And even the original, we played it again recently, and it still holds up. It's great. And Pandemic Iberia is really pretty. Pandemic, the Star Wars Clone Wars version, is really interesting. So it was really difficult to choose. But I'm going with the campaign version, and specifically Season 1, because I think this was the first campaign game that we played. And prior to playing campaign games that you kind of destroy things throughout, we thought that doesn't seem worthwhile. Like, you play it through and then that's it, you're done. But we decided to give it a go. And we loved it because you play it at least 12 times, probably more because you play it again if you lose a month. And that's a lot of games, and you're going through this whole story. And so since then, we played Season 2, we also played Season 0. They're all great. And because I think this was the introduction to these campaign games, it is my favorite, and it is my number 45.
My number 44 is Living Forest, and I really like when a game has got a few different ways to win, and often in a game like that it's 3 different ways, and that's very much what Living Forest is. You can win by extinguishing fires, you can win by building up your trees, or you can win by collecting flowers. And I love that it's a race to those 3 things, in a very, very interactive race, because you're also running around this circle trying to jump over each other and steal their totems that help you get those different things. And this is a game that I've actually only ever played at 2 players, but it really works well as a head-to-head game. And it's a game that I started playing on BGA. I played a ton of games on there, and then I just had to own. It took a little bit to warm Jess up to it because it can be a little bit mean. It's very competitive. But when you have the actual thing, it looks so pretty. It's so worth owning the actual physical game of this and actually running around that fire, jumping over people, grabbing those trees and adding them to your board. There's all these different kind of engines that you can build. It's also a deck builder. It's also a push your luck game. It's so clever with all these different things, but not that much rules overhead and interaction in kind of the best possible way. And it is my 44.
My number 44 is Scout, and this is probably the most beat up box we own because it's always with us. We always carry it around. And I think it's because it's so easy to introduce to people. So it is a card shedding game where when you play a card, you always have to beat whatever card's out there. So you can play a higher value card, you can play runs, you can play matching cards, as long as whatever you're playing is higher. So people, I think, are able to pick up that concept pretty quickly. But what makes it really interesting is at the very beginning of the game, however you have your cards is how they are. You cannot rearrange them. And that is incredibly difficult because you always want to rearrange your cards. And so you're stuck with them. But you can make it work because throughout the game, if you can't play, you have to pick up a card. And you can then use the card you pick up to put it wherever you want in your hand. And that can really help you create the matching sets or the runs. And so this is one that we've played a ton, and it is my number 44.
My number 43 is Heat, Pedal to the Metal. And fittingly, it took me a little while to warm up to this game, but I am hot for Heat now because there's a lot of real nuance in this game, I think, that I didn't pick up at first. Because when we first started playing this, I thought, well, it's kind of Flamme Rouge, but not quite the same. And now I think, oh, it's Flamme Rouge, but not quite the same. It does this different, interesting thing, and that thing is really managing that heat. So heat is this thing that happens to your card that you don't want to happen too much because you're adding these bad cards into your deck. But you need to happen a pretty good amount because you need to get that little edge when you're going into those corners. So really, you're coming into corners, you want to come in kind of hot. You want to take a little bit of heat as you go through those corners so that you can get ahead of people, because those are like make and break. And also, what really got me into this game is when we started to do those championship seasons, because then you're playing 4 different races We always make it so that we're playing 4 different tracks, so we'll even mix cards from those seasons together. And the bots in this, some of the best bots in any game. I love that we can play a 2-player game with a full track of cars, and it's not that much overhead to run all of that stuff as well. So I have really warmed up to Heat, and it is my 43.
My number 43 is Village, and I'm going to go specifically with the big box version because we waited till the big box was available to pick this one up. And in Village, you are these villagers across different generations, and all of your people are doing different things. So some of them might be tradespeople making stuff, some of people might be exploring, some people might be in the monastery. And as you do things, it's going to cost you time. And eventually it means someone is going to die. And when I first played this, I was really trying to not let time pass because that seemed like a bad thing. But it's almost a race because if you can be the first person to die in one of those settings, then that can be valuable because you end up in the storybook. So you're really managing when to spend resources versus when to spend time and really when to kill off your people in the most beneficial way. So this is very different than what I had expected, but I really like it, and especially with all of the different expansions, because it can feel really different when playing with like the port or when playing with marriages, and it's great to have a game that you can mix and match things like this. And it's my number 43.
My number 42 is Azul, and I jump back and forth whether to do original or Summer Pavilion, but you know what? I think I feel like old school this time because it's just such a great classic game. And we've talked about a few games here that are easy to introduce to people, but this one is so easy to introduce people, and part of that is because it's so pretty. It kind of sells itself because you got these beautiful chunky tiles that you're pulling out and you're placing on your board and you're trying to make patterns. But the other thing is you're drafting them, and you're drafting them so mean. This is such a sneakily mean game because as you're drafting tiles, you're looking at what you want, but you're also looking at what your opponent wants and even more what they don't want. And you're kind of figuring out, if I take these 2, I know she's going to take those 3, then I'm going to take these 2, then she's stuck with these 5 that she cannot put anywhere, and that is a terrific turn in this game. And I love games like this that are simple, and at first you don't really see how mean they are, but then later on you start to pick up on that and they get kind of meaner and more competitive. And this does that really well. It's a beautiful game. Summer Pavilion's also really good if you've already got the original Azul. We actually like the dual one as well. I think that's pretty solid, but I still think the original does it the best, and that is my 42.
My number 42 is Draftosaurus, and this is a great tactile game. It has these wonderful dinosaurs that you have in your hands and you pass around. And what you're doing is you have to pick a dinosaur and put it in the dinosaur paddock, and then you pass whatever is left to the other player. So I love how tactile it is, and I really like the 2-player game specifically because at 2 players, you put one down into your paddock, but you also look at them and you get rid of one of them. And so I love that you're really keeping an eye on what your opponent is doing and specifically trying to get rid of things that you know they want. And it is a very very simple game, but we love it, and we always play both sides because there's a 2-sided board. And this is one that I think is another game that people are buying as soon as they've played. So if you haven't played Draftosaurus, I really recommend it, and it is my number 42.
My number 41 is Architects of the West Kingdom. And when we first got all 3 of the West Kingdom games, we got them all pretty close to each other, and this was initially my least favorite by far. But as we've played them all more and more, this has just moved way up, and this is now easily my favorite West Kingdom game. And a huge part of that is the interaction. There's just such clever interaction in this game, because what you're doing is you're putting folks out and you're getting resources like an awful lot of other games. And you're using those resources to build stuff, and you got buildings, you got all of this stuff. But when you put more people out on one place, you get more of that resource. So if you put like your fourth person out on the wood space, you're going to get 4 wood. How other people are going to stop that, however, is by arresting you. And that is such a terrific mechanic, because they're going to go to the town hall, they're going to tell the cops on you, they're going to arrest you, they're going to put you on their board and like hold on to you, and then later drop you off in jail to get stuff from doing that. And that is, it's just such a terrific mechanism, because they can also, you can just use that to hold on to people's people. So now they can't do anything. And then you got to go do like a prison break. You got to pay to get them back out of jail. And you got to really think about, do I want to put that 5th person on that space to get that big haul, but put a huge target on my back? It's just such a clever, interesting, and unique mechanism. And it makes for a terrific game. And it is my number 41.
My number 41 is Res Arcana. And this is such an interesting game, because how it works is at the very beginning, everyone gets dealt 8 cards. And those are your 8 cards. That's what you have to use. You also get dealt 2 mages, and then based on your 8 cards, you pick 1 mage. And so what you're trying to do is figure out how to make those 8 cards work synergistically. And there is a whole deck of cards, so the combos tend to be pretty unique. You can usually not play the same way twice. And so you're working with your cards. There's also like these places of powers that you're trying to get resources for to be able to get, and these monuments as well. And those can really help play into your strategies. But we were surprised at how clever this was and how different it felt each game. And I recommend the first 2 expansions, because we felt like it didn't really need them, but I liked it even more with both of those expansions. And for a game where you only have 8 cards, it blew me away of what you can do. And it is my number 41.
And that is it. That brings us all the way down to number 40. We are really getting to the big ones now.
Thank you so much for watching. And just a reminder, please do check out our Kickstarter last week of summer. It is live right now. And as usual, please like, subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you next time for another game.